Hi everyone, it's Norman Kochnick here. I thought I'd come on a little bit earlier as Hamid and Burns go at their merry way, knocking off England total in one hell of a hurry. This is a rather it's one of those days which I'm sure India would like to forget, being all out for some 78 and India down the barrel of a score where England are already none for 86, so there's some eight runs in front without losing a wicket. It's kind of hard to comprehend what's going on. It looks like Ronaldo Days has gone off with an injury after having Mr. Fielding roll down there at deep point. It's not a very good day for Indian cricket. They've probably one of the worst days they've had, at least on this tour. And for some time, I haven't seen India so comprehensively beaten on a day. But these things go wrong. We know the day in Adelaide where, of course, where Australia had India all out for 36, if I'm not wrong, and of course that was a terrible situation. But what happened next test, what happened in that series, India bounced back immensely. It's not here. We'll join back. Let's just wait. There'll be a few. I'm sure a lot of Englishmen will be on there. We'll get a lot of English crowd. Jadeja looks like he's waved to say that he's not coming back on. He's limping off. And Burns is not out 38 and Hamid 40. And the score is none for 86 after well, they've batted for 32 overs. They haven't exactly flown, but they've done very well, of course. So it's not a good. So be happy England was playing brilliantly. Of course, I'm happy for England that they deserve. They've had a good day. They've had a pretty ordinary first two tests, so they were inevitably going to come back at some stage. But India's batting was one of those days again where everything was nicked. The amount of catches that Butler took behind was quite phenomenal. It was quite a lot indeed. I'll just have a look at the score and the way that's gone about. I mean, the reality is that India's scorecard. Let's have a look at the scorecard. With Rohit Sharma, he did all the hard work. He batted 105 balls for his 19 and played a very ordinary shot where he tried to pull outside off stump and maybe the frustration got to him. The wickets of Rahul, Pujara, Kohli, and even Rahane were all nicks behind. Punts was a very ordinary shot as well, also caught behind. Today's LBW, and of course, Sharma was caught slip off first ball, hadn't happened to anyone. Bumrah was LBW to Curran, he didn't play that well, and Siraj was caught rude by Overton. So Anderson took 3 for 6 of 8 overs. Ollie Robinson 2 for 16 off 10. Sam Curran 2 for 27 off 10. Moeen Ali none for 4 off 2. And then Overton took 3 for 14. He bowled very well for 10.4 overs. They all pitched him very, very nicely. It's 78 is not a score that you'd like to recollect, but the reality is England are none for 86 and things are in ascendancy for England. And you would argue deservedly so, but it's a series long and we expected them to bounce back at some stage. And people say England will win definitely. Well, it's going to depend on how much strength of character India have in the second innings. There have been many test matches where India or have to follow on, and they had to actually follow on with Laxman and Dravid batting Australia, and they came back with great power, and they ended up winning the match with Harbhajan Singh taking a bunch of wickets. So Anderson is amazing. His bowling was tremendous, but he was well backed up by both Ollie Robinson and, of course, Overton today as well. So, and even Sam Curran. And it was a big high winning at Lords for India, a big high. So it's kind of, not out of the question how they could come back from this. But Doug said, I said in the morning, I have a feeling India will make a mess of exactly what they did. Yeah, it's one of those test matches. Everything that's gone wrong, but it's going to come down to some really good batting from India the second innings. And the wicket does seem to have flattened out immensely. Conditions are a lot sunnier, and the way that England's batting, it just goes to show that India will be able to post more runs in the second innings. There's no doubt about that. Don't forget, India got all out for 36 in Adelaide late last year and came back to win the series and played brilliantly. So yeah, I wouldn't discount that fact, what he means. All right, so we're just replaying it with Rahul's. A lot of the players didn't have to play the ball, but it appears as if the Indian batters are mesmerised by whether the ball from Anderson goes in or out. His position, his cock position of his hand suggests that it's going to go away, which is what good batsmen follow, and it goes in. So it's a bit of a dog to breakfast in terms of picking him. No wonder he's taken so many wickets. He's obviously a very fine bowler. But he wasn't on his own today. Overton and Robinson also bowled very well. Particularly well. Well, Hamid's taken his opening role very well, 40 and Burns 39. They've got an 87 on the partnership. Looks like Hamid's found himself an opening spot. Sharma's 19 on the Hardy, 18. The only two that got into double figures. Extras also did. Extras were third score with 16. All that for 78 after 40.4 overs. And Mookie's right. Sometimes these things happen. Yeah, I'm not overly worried. I don't think it's in the world because, quite frankly, India have done extremely well, and they've a pressure point's been released, and they didn't bat well today. And a lot of shots, when you have a number of players caught behind, it's not always a bad sign of the batting. It's not a good bowling, actually. Let's have a look at it. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 caught behind, and then Root, Burns, and Robinson all caught as well. So there were eight wickets caught. Or was it a couple of the one that was Rohit Sharma's shot was a bad shot, but then he batted admirably. He was down 5 or 6 down when he got out. And that's pretty hard to imagine. And they've already lost the game and perhaps the series as well. No, that's way too coach. You can't say that because it's very hard to say that because if they do lose this test, they'll go 1-all. It's hardly a serious loss at this point. And the Oval will take spin as well. So I don't know whether you can say India were overconfident in this test match, or is it just they've come down from a very big high, which does happen. It's very, very common. That happens a lot. But James Anderson bowled fantastically. In fact, all the England bowlers have bowled for them. The Indian bowlers have bowled a little bit too short. And the reality is that's with the wickets flattening out immensely. You can see the balls just coming through at a nice height. As Sharma used to bowl the ball outside, which was rather short. And, there's a mental strength of confidence that you see in a team. Very typical of those sort of situations. But Rory Burns looks $1 million at the moment. So yeah, there's a lot of comment about James Anderson's been brilliant. He is. You can't deny how good he has bowled. So Burns is not at 43, Hamid is not at 40. England at none for 91 out of 13-run lead at this point. Punt looked probably the worst. He looked out of sorts, something horrid. I don't know quite what he was trying to do when he was batting. He just didn't seem to settle in at all. Mind you, he came in when the wickets was 4 or 5 down. It's not like the job was done well before the batsman before him. So yeah, it just didn't look the way that we were expecting to be. That's true. Yeah, so at the moment, England are still 1-0 down. Don't forget, this is the 3rd test, the 5-test series. They're 1-0 down still. So they've come back, yes, on the first day of this test match. But India making a better account for themselves in the second innings. It could be a very different score. If England, well, post a lead, but not a horrendous lead, I could see at least, I wouldn't necessarily think a draw. I think India at this stage looking at a loss, but it's early to say, really. We can't be so conclusive. We just don't know. Yes, India is done for now. It is done now. Okay, well, that's my predictions were right. India all out today. I don't want Rashmi Jahar. Yeah, you may well be right. Well, they are right. They are all out. Anderson 3 for 6, Overton 3 for 14, Robinson 2 for 16, Sam Curran 2 for 27. Very well shared between the bowlers, not just James Anderson. And Coley was disappointing, absolutely. Bumrah's coming on now. He's got none for 8 off. Bumrah's got none for 8 off 8. That's pretty impressive bowling figures. If you had a couple of wickets, it'd be a different story, wouldn't it? Let's have a look here. Yeah. I'm just going to try and find out what the story is with the. Usually there's some posts make you run for. Just a few of the journalists who are not coming as to one. Sumitra Bose said he's got nothing to say. He's an Indian media guy. Lovely, very senior journalist, a very, very impressive man indeed. I'm just trying to find the. So it looks like we're going to be in for a finish some stage. Beautiful conditions. The weather looks very, very sound. Very good indeed. It would be a pity to have India doesn't deserve to be thrashed. But at the moment, the first day is very much gone the way of England. We can see that. But don't forget what happened in Adelaide late last year. India all out for 36 and lost that match quite comfortably. Next test match went to Melbourne, and then up to Sydney and Adelaide, Sydney and Brisbane. And who won that series? Well, India with a depleted side, 9 players down. So don't lose. It's exactly. I think Pravan John said that today was not India's day. Deepak, it's because Anderson's bowling. Yeah, it's true. So I have one question: when India betting in this pitch to sort of swing and bounce, but now England betting, and there's no thing to pitch. It's all about the conditions were favourable early in the morning for bowling, and they didn't survive that period. They got out when the pitch was in that way. Now that it's dried out towards the end of the first day, it's more and more batting pitch. Just sheer bad luck. Well, they did choose to bat first, and perhaps that was a toss that India would have liked to have lost, because England perhaps would have batted first. What do you think of Hamid's batting? He's been a lot more confident, of course. Whether he's better is another question, but he certainly has been given a rap. Like, you can't deny he's not been around. So it's just gone 6 o'clock in England. The Dickie Bird clock, as it's called. And there's overs remaining in the day. There's 12.2 overs remaining in the day. So we'll go a bit longer. 12.2 overs, so, well, it shouldn't be an hour, you wouldn't think. Please take questions. I am John. India have just have. I've been answering your questions. Haven't you been hearing me? India don't have such great swing bowlers. They do. I've been taking the questions. I'm answering as I talk. It's just a personal question, not about cricket. What would you like to come to India? Of course, would I like to come there all the time? It's only because of COVID I'm not there now. So it's a COVID-based reason why I'm not there. Rahan Coley, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Back Goas will be eating his words, very arrogant and overconfident comments. Well, no, not really. It was deserved comments. They were in that position. They deserve it. Because it can't change so drastically. Well, they have. Hi, so hello, John Kuma. So we've got another 12 overs left, guys. Ground looks quite picturesque. It's got an interesting character to it. It's obviously a very heavily a soccer and football ground area, and Leeds is very famous for both rugby league and certainly soccer. They have a fair cricket history as well. Yeah, I've been in 20 times. That's right. Yeah, you didn't know. That's true. Let's hope they do. Nice and Hussein and Atherton are smiling from ear to ear at the moment. They're gloating big time with their 10 run for 95. It's quite an incredibly strong opening partnership. Burns is 45 and Hamid 42. This is not what we were expecting. And Milan, wow, he's set up for big innings when he comes in. No doubt at all. I had a picture of Jadeja on the front of my thumbnail. I wouldn't have expected him to be out there in the field today, but he certainly is, or he's actually injured himself as well. Okay, was it a great pick of putting Jadeja in front of Ashwin? Well, the plans that they wanted to put forward, that was the idea of it. Maybe we'd argue, well, Ashwin will be the next test. I'm pretty sure the conditions will suit him at the Oval. I think India will make a fist of us. Don't worry. They got a couple of weeks. It's the day that mentally they haven't been at their best. And it could well be as simple as the conditions. England swept India like the Taliban swept Afghanistan. Well, it's not a good comparison. No one's died here. Still, Hamid looks very awkward, even though he has scored 42. It still looks awkward to me. Okay, what would I tell? If I tell you my team? I would say, look, it's not our day. We've got 4 days to make up for this. Fight like all hell, as he's always said. It does look like India will lose the match, but it's too early to be so defiant with your prediction. Way too early. There's 12 overs still left. So in India, it's now, 10:30, isn't it? It's 3:04 here. He's played a very light shot there. That looks quite, without any foot movement. Bit streaky a shot, but he's got 4 runs for it. Hamid's on to 46. Burns is on 46. They're none for 100. Well, I understand. It's not fun to watch India getting beaten, or at least being in this vicinity. But I remember many a day in this previous 2 test matches where India were well in front. So India will fight back. I'm not worried about that. We know that. Rashmi, Crew Roll, Smith, and Labuschagne. I would say Smith is worthy of it. Labuschagne hasn't quite got there yet. 10:35, probably should say. It's a 101 run partnership. Rory Burns 46, Hamid's on 47. and they've done it for about 100 balls, so roughly run every second ball, which is pretty sturdy, pretty steady. The wickets flattened out enormously. If India had survived the first session or two, we were in a great position now, but they didn't. Rohit Sharma did a great job, even though he only got 19. He did a great job to get where he did. He got out to a short ball yet again, but that's really unfortunate because he looked solid under this trying conditions for sure. Bumrah's bowled 10 overs for 9 runs. Very, very good figures. No wickets. Anderson taken more than 600 wickets. England lead by 23 runs. I know that they're actually, I'm watching now as we speak. India's lost the test unless, let's not discount them yet. It's unlikely they're going to win. Rahane was okay. Pujara didn't last long at all, and Kohli didn't last long, so it's very hard to say. Ooh, and Hamid's just nicked the ball and has gone straight through his second slip. That's where the luck is today. Had that been an Indian batsman, they would have gone straight to hand, but they didn't. Hamid now has got 51 not out, off an edge. Jasprit Bumrah's bowled a good delivery. In fact, that was catchable height to row. It was catchable height. Catchable height. Hamid's third 50. Okay, Rohit Sharma played a very bad shot, but in getting to that position, he held the team together as best he possibly could around wickets falling all the time. So, I commend him, not to say I said Kohli's finished. Kohli's not finished. Very awkward stances, all of them. Very, very awkward stances. Very awkward stances. When the ball is there, the batter's in the right position in the end, despite the preparation being rather unsound. So it's Hamid's third 50. I didn't expect him to get many runs today. Well, they've got his edge. Evening all, some days you are the statue and some days you're the pigeon. So today, England is this pigeon and India is the statue, correct? Oh, well, Garabunka, that's maybe a severe comment. Looks like Hamid's played a lot of balls through gully and point. And he still looks awkward. He's 51 not out, but he looks awkward to me. Showing his shots. A lot of cut shots. Played a lot of cut shots. A lot of square drives or balls through slips. Played a leg side shot there, which is one of his better shots. Outside off, he's played there. Another ball. Another cut. Loves his cut shot listens. Early moisture in the track proved critical. The deck will dry out under the sun. So that's right. It's true. It certainly has favoured the fact that India had to bat in the worst conditions so far and lost a whole lot of wickets and didn't put up their end. If they'd survived, they may have had a different story. Reg has come on to gloat.
Well, not really, Norman. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm good. I'm very good.
Yeah.
Hamid's batting well, but he looks. This is everyone. Please welcome Reg Vernon.
Hi, guys.
AKA Banster Boy, AKA Big Indian fan. No,
of course, fan. Of course, a good cricket fan, Norman. A cricket fan.
It just seems a day where I'd say without any doubt, India probably would have liked to have lost the toss and had England bat first, and they may have taken wickets. England bowled exceptionally well, especially Anderson, but Overton and Robinson bowled very well, and so did Curran. They all bowled well.
Curran bowled the best I bet he's ever bowled before lunch. I bet he came off at lunchtime thinking, how did I not have a wicket? He was beating the bat 3 times and over almost, wasn't he? And it was doing a bit, but it wasn't doing more than I think it's done in the previous 2 tests. It's just that this time they snicked it, and that's cricket. Sometimes you snick them, and sometimes you don't.
Catches, but that was 5 catches. The slips took another 2.
Yeah, but if you look, Norman, the way they got out the Indian batsmen, it wasn't always the Pujara got a good ball, Rahane got a good ball, but Rahul, Rohit, Kohli, and Pads just really bad shots, weren't they? They just weren't great shots. So, that's cricket for you.
Yeah, but I'll give it to Rohit Sharma. I was impressed with the way he handled his batting, even though he got 19 and got out to a bad shot. He did a great job in surviving extremely difficult conditions. He was the 5th or 6th. It was the 6th wicket to fall, despite being the opener. Really, I was quite commendable of his batting, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when everything's falling around you, and to be fair, he's 17 off 100 balls for him is difficult. I would imagine it's not his natural game, so he was gutsing it out. You're right, Norman, absolutely right. He was playing against his natural instincts.
I was very impressed with his
and he
batting.
batted well, but the shot he must have been gutted. You face 110 balls or whatever, and you do lots of the hard work, and then it wasn't his finest moment. The shot he got out to, was it?
I mean, this Munchie's comment, albeit cheeky, is it who's more shocked? Whether he's more shocked, India getting 78 or England getting past 20 without a wicket. To be honest with you, Rory Burns looks confident, but I'm not watching Hamid bat. He's played some good cut shots. Yeah. Really, he got to 51 off an edge to seconds because of an out. He still hasn't convinced me just yet, although he's got 51.
No, he's hit some nice shots. He's looked certainly more assured today than he did at Lord's, but he's probably bloody nervous at Lord's, I would guess. And it's strange, isn't it? Opening the batting is different from coming in at 1 for 1. It's just a different pressure, and so he's looked better. Burns has looked pretty solid, I'd say. I mean,
he looks fantastic. Burns looks really good.
I like the way Burns. I know he's got a slightly strange technique, but I like the way he presents the face of the bat when he plays those cover drives. It looks good, doesn't it?
He's quality. There's no doubt. Burns deserves to be there. That's why he is there.
It's out early a lot, but it's a tough old game. Test cricket, Norman. A tough old game.
And Jadeja's gone off the field. It looks like he's injured himself as well.
It didn't look. They looked like he might be coming back on, but when he limped off, I thought he'd done his knee. I thought it was a knee, possibly the way he was walking off. So
there's nothing worse than losing a player on your first day of the match, for sure.
And he's lovely in the field. He did a brilliant bit of fielding, didn't he? In fact, Curran did a similar one earlier in the day. You just watch him and you think, crikey, me and you know, imagine us running around the field like that.
Is the ground small?
I don't think so. I think they all the grounds are smaller than they used to be because they bring the boundaries in, don't they, these days? When you look back at
if you look at the one boundary, there's one boundary there that looks almost square. It's not even circular. It's square.
I don't know the dimensions. I've never been to Headingley, I'm afraid. I mean, I'm a southerner. It's a 4.5 hour drive up to Leeds for me from here.
Right. Did Munchie's? Why isn't Munchie coming on?
Look, Munchie, as I said, he's got a 400-acre estate to look after. It's hard work.
Yeah, but Munchie, I think he just thinks that people talk about his chubby cheeks when he comes on.
He just told me to get a shave, Norman. I mean, that's rich coming from Munchie, isn't it?
I'm not shaving because I'm just lazy, but I'm happy with it. I'm comfortable with myself.
Me too. So the game position, I didn't suspect England would have ever in their wildest dreams thought that this would happen. Yeah. It's a strange game, Norman. It is, Now,
look, I mean, the only thing that I'm going to say in India's defence is that India were all out for 36 against Australia and Adelaide, And then Joe Burns came on and scored 59 out to win the match, and he looked good all of a sudden. Within 2 tests, Burns was dropped, and India turned around and won the series. So, it's not a good thing for them at the moment. You have to think that India are going to lose this match. India will be very hard for us to win, especially if England go on and score a big score. But
Yeah.
I mean, England could be all out for 200. We just don't know. I don't think so, but they could be.
Yeah. Even if they are all out for 200, then they'd have a 120 run lead, and they reckon it's going to be a bit cloudy tomorrow, so it might swing around. But they reckon Saturday's going to be sunny, so the best day for batting is going to be Saturday, which might be when India are in for their second innings. There's every chance that England will probably get bowled out tomorrow, but let's hope not. But you never know. And Headingley, over the last few years, not traditionally, but over the last few years, has got easier to bat on as the games have gone on. I mean,
look at Ben Stokes, for God's sake.
2 years today, Norman.
Yeah, I saw that. It was amazing innings.
West Indies last year chased down 320, I think, in the last innings to win. So it could get easier to bat on. So it really comes down to how big a lead England can get, because even if India bat brilliantly and score 450 second innings, if they're 200, 300 behind, then that's it's not going to be enough. So we'll see.
But the reality is, if India were to lose this test, which they look like they probably will, it's only 1-1. It's not a lost series.
Absolutely. And my predictions would have been almost spot on, Norman. I said we'd lose at Lords and win at Headingley, didn't I? We'll see. Look, this is only day one. Cricket is a funny game, as you know. Let's not write India off yet. I'm just more.
India will come out very determined, I think, not only the rest of the match, but the next match. But the biggest concern for me in the batting order is Punt. He was disgraceful. He looked out of sorts from ball one.
We discussed this before the series. You can't in England. You can't play those sorts of. He can't play the innings that he likes to play here. It's a different game. The ball moves around a bit, and that shot today, having a bat at a 30-degree angle or well away from your body, is you're going to get out, or you're going to edge it and over the top of the slips maybe. But there's no mileage in a shot like that. He's got a.
It was actually really not a punch shot. He would normally have tried. Yeah. He could have cut that ball well.
It bounced a bit on him, didn't it? It just bounced a bit. It's the two England bowlers. Siraj
is copying it. Siraj is copying it.
Is he what, from the umpires or from the crowd? I didn't see. Is he?
And Siraj is reacting to it. But I mean, I'm sure it's banter.
The Western Terrace, isn't it? It's gonna be. There's gonna be a few beers sunk, and there's gonna be a little bit of verbal. It's the same worldwide, that, Norman. I'm sure fielding in front in Sydney on the boundary. I did Phil Tuckle say that he used to get absolute pelters when he played in Australia. Every ground he played on, he said, I had to field at fine leg because I was a terrible fielder, and I used to cop it everywhere.
Well, Siraj gives it back, though. Yeah. So,
if you're prepared, if you're going to give it out, you've got to take it, and it'll be good. It'll be good. I like Siraj.
Siraj is fantastic. Sydney, he copped a bit of bad abuse. This seems to be more banter.
This is banter. I hope it is. I mean, the crowds here are not known. It'll be banter, Norman. It really will. It really will.
It will be annoying banter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that nothing has changed, has it, since before the test, before the series? We were talking about the Indian 3-4-5 not being in good form, and they're still not in particularly good form. I know Pujara and Rahane gritted it at Lords a little bit, but they weren't fluent in that. They just gritted it out.
Rahane did, considering the overall total, did an okay job today.
What, he got 18, Norman Crumbs.
But you've got to put in perspective of how difficult the conditions must have been. Okay, they were not easy batting conditions. Anderson was hooping it around. Robertson and Overton both bowl well. Curran bowl well. The conditions really suited all four of the bowlers. Let's be honest.
And it's strange that the Indian. I don't know why Ishant took the first over. I don't know. That could be out. No, not given. Sorry, I don't know why you do that. He looked out of rhythm, didn't he? He hasn't looked in rhythm. this innings, Ishan.
There's
It's just looked a
going to
little
be
bit.
lots of comments to say that Ashwin should have played, that Thakur should have
They
played.
can't get Ashwin in, Norman. They can't. They
Yeah.
might play him at the Oval. I wouldn't be surprised if they play him at the Oval.
Yeah.
But with the balance of their side, they can't take a batsman. They have to take a seamer out. And you're not telling me they need two spinners here at Headingley. They don't. They really don't. So
there's no doubt that India will play Ashwin in the fourth test by sheer weight of pressure, I think, as well.
Well, I think they'll play two spinners. So I think Jadeja and Ashwin will both play at the Oval.
Yeah.
I think that of all the grounds, that might turn a little bit. But there's also pace and bounce at the Oval. So, you pays your money, you takes your chance. But it's going to at least improve their batting a little bit. Again, we talked about it. If they keep playing 4 number 11s, Shami's maybe a little bit better, but he's got 2 golden ducks this series in his last 3 innings. But if you keep playing 4 number 11s, you're going to get found out. They didn't in the last test. It won them the game. But
let's be honest. I mean, we've got to be careful with the commentary about the tail. They didn't do well today, but the last 2 test matches they did incredibly well. So even though I know on paper you're right, the reality is everyone failed today. We had 7 batters before they even got in that failed. So you can't blame the tail this time. And Sharma got out first ball.
Yeah. But the point is, Norman, that if your top order do fail and your tail can wag a little bit, then, over the years, when England went to number 1 in about 10, 12 years ago, it was more on the basis that their Swan, Pryor, and someone else was getting runs in the lower, 7, 8, 9 was scoring runs. And the best sides have batsmen who sort of come in at number 9 or 10 who can just hold a bat and do a little bit. It's tough for India here. It's tough for these guys. They're not there to score runs. They're not pretending to be batsmen, are they?
But I mean, what I'm saying is Sharmi's dismissal was, due to good bowling.
It was a good ball, yeah.
And even Carroll Scott, the latter wicket, say was good bowling.
It was a great ball.
Sorry, the clock has got the word Dickie Bird there, so I'm assuming
it's fantastic, isn't it? Presented by the ground. He's there on the ground today. He was there. Right. What a fine man. Absolutely brilliant. If you ever read his autobiography and you can get it an audio book as well, crikey, you'll be in tears listening to him. He's just, he talks about when he goes and gets his OBE from the palace and meets the Queen, and he's it's awesome to listen to him and read what he says. He's just a proud man. He's a proud man, and he feels he's been lucky to have. He was brilliant umpire, absolutely brilliant character, proper character.
There's a guy called Bruce Hawkins who's a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine in Australia. He's a country guy, salt of the earth, 5 foot nothing, plays cricket on the SCG with 1 pad on his left leg, no gloves, right? But guts out and gets 50s, right? Yeah. He's not. He was a halfback in rugby. He still played rugby into his 50s. Plays cricket into his 50s. He's got three sons that are all into cricket. He's a drinker. He's a character. He has a great pub. He has a great the old Outback store. The local bloke that has everything on. He's quintessentially Australian. He's a great friend of mine. He watches the episodes now, right? He watches the whole 2 hours. He watches the whole 2 hours. Or he watches the whole thing. He tells me that I shouldn't be eating. Like the other day, I ate some pasta. I shouldn't be doing that. He's a great mate of mine. He has the biggest memorabilia collection of cricketing memorabilia, that is, I've ever seen. He's got everything. He's got everything from Bradman right through, incredible paintings and bats and everything. I've got 3 or 4 guys that are bigger. They're the biggest collectors in Australia of memorabilia.
He must be a really good friend of yours, Norman, if he sits and watches your show for 2 hours every day.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean,
we are. We're great mates. We went on a tour of England in 2013 for the Ashes.
Yeah,
and we played like we did against your son. In 13, we had so much fun. There was one of the headings of one of the games, because he and I bowled. We took the wickets. It was against what was the name of the team? It was a lovely ground. We actually had champagne on arrival for a game and raspberries and strawberries, and we beat them. But the headline was "The Hock and Cock Shock," as in Hockings, Kochneck, Koch, and Shock. And I took 3 or 4 wickets. He took 2 or 3, and we won the match. And it was our big moment, and we had a great lot of fun. We had some great photos. He's a tremendous guy, great friend. Along with a guy called Craig Hawkins, who has got the most Australian cricket caps, historical ones, than anyone's ever. He's got probably 1,000. Baram's here.
Burns just got to 50 with a lovely shot through mid-wicket.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hi, Raj. Hi, Norman.
Isn't cricket a funny game? Isn't cricket a funny game?
Yeah. How can the fortunes or the situation change?
Isn't that why we love it? Isn't that why we're here, why we love, you know?
So, Baram, you fix up your audio because earlier on you were a bit delayed.
I think
right now, is it okay?
No, not now. Last time you were a bit delayed when you were talking.
Last time, actually, I was at my office, so there was some internet issue over there. So I think it should not be any problem now.
Be one over left in the day, guys. This will be.
I thought it was more than that.
No, they can only. They're going to lose overs because the over rates. If the ICC don't want to do anything about it, I mean, finding multi-millionaire players, 20 quid or 20 rupees for a slow over rate isn't going to help. What they need to do is they need to ban the captain. Soon, I'll tell you, they'd soon sort it out if Joe Root couldn't play the next test or Virat Kohli was missing a test match. It's easy. They can increase the over rate if they need to.
Rory Burns has looked fantastic today. He's cut, pulled, swept, driven.
The first shot he played against Jadeja's first ball was an absolute belter. He slog swept him, first ball Jadeja bowled to mid wicket, and that's putting a message. That was a plan. He would have been planning that to send a message. Because if you're any good, which I'm not, you can do that sort of thing. You can actually think I'm going to hit this ball for 4, but unfortunately,
let's be honest. Rory Burns looks the goods. Okay. And I don't think he's ever not looked the goods. I think he's always looked the goods. So
I think he's got just a technique that when you get out early, everyone will criticise your technique. And when you've got a brilliant technique and you get out early, everyone says, "Well, it was a great ball that got you out." It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah. This is a Krishna Saras Cup, Norman. What an Indian collapse. England played terrific. And I'm afraid they are. I mean, if they've really... But look, let's remember this could turn around yet again later in the match or next match. India put a great foot forward the first 2 matches. They won the second. They almost won the first. In fact, it's a pity they didn't win the first because that would have made it even more exciting. Imagine being 2-0 up and then England win the next 2, making it 2-2. That would have made the last game very exciting.
What you need to remember about the first test was that India needed about 156 on the last day. Well, you saw what a pig's ear England made of chasing on the last day at Lords. Anytime you're chasing over 150, 180 on the 5th day of a test match, history tells you that the whole history of the game says suddenly the pressure's on. There's the absolute pressure on.
Now, Hamid's hit another ball through the slips, right? Rohit Sharma's now at a wider third slip. There's a
it never works, Norman. Never works. Never works.
Always, when you're in the slips, first and second slip are next to each other. That's it. If you want more slips, you get a third slip. You do not put third slip at 2.5 slip and third slip.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. Inevitable that the batsman knows that and almost deliberately plays the gap. It's almost, you can't.
The cricket gods. Did you watch?
No, it's actually slips 101. You don't have a gap between first and second slip. Sorry, between first and third. You don't have a gap. Yeah. You don't.
I was wondering if Baram's managed to watch much of the play today.
Yeah, I watched it, but the day has been horrible for India in every aspect. Okay, I can see that India got all out for 78, but seeing that England not even lost 1 wicket is a big deal, considering let's say even the pitch has dried out and everything, but seeing what was the situation of England before, at least on the openers part. So this has been a stark contrast and change. So England's day today in every aspect for sure. can't
Can
can't
you
say.
imagine? England scores 2 more runs. They've equalled their score from the last innings.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's so it's what we've seen it before, and it happens all the time, doesn't it? In cricket, it's a game of momentum. They used to talk about that when Chris was doing his Kent coaching. When he was a youngster and in the Kent setup, the county setup. One of the coaches continually talked about momentum in the game, and it doesn't. India had the momentum coming into this, but you could talk about smaller momentum. And once you get on a roll, if you could, like we got Rahul's shot first over was not a particularly great shot, fourth ball of the game. He snicks off, and all of a sudden, that momentum can just change, and you could see the confidence coming back in, and then you get another wicket, and all of a sudden, the whole game changes on its head. And it's weird. Cricket does that all the time. Little moments, isn't it? Little moments. I think
One
so me and you, Baram.
Yeah, one mistake, Raj, I would definitely say that India should have given Anderson more respect. He deserves a lot of respect when he's bowling, and they should have just left Rahul should have just, first over, maybe just resist yourself from going for the drive, and Kohli also poking, and same with Pujara. I think it was like looking at a score sheet or looking like just cut copy paste. Catch Butler, ball Anderson. Catch Butler. What's going on?
Yeah, I thought Pujara got a particularly good ball, and that happens when you're out of form. You get.
Well, England have just gone off the field, haven't they, guys?
Yeah, it's the end of the play. 120 for naught.
Isn't that what an irony? None for 120 after being all out for 120 last time. There's an irony to that. There's an absolute irony about that.
Yeah, and also Norman, this takes massive pressure off David Malan. So you've got a guy who hasn't played cricket for 3 years in Test cricket. He would have been under a lot of pressure, and all of a sudden he's going to come in at 120 for whatever, or 130 the first wicket. That he will feel pressure, but it's a lot less than 1 for 1 or 10 for 1 when he comes in. So that'll give him hopefully a little bit of time to have a look at it and get himself back in. I mean, Hamid's just played himself into the Ashes, isn't he? They're not going to look that they'll not look to change that now, I will guess. That's what you're going to get down under at the Gabba in November, Norman. You're going to see Hasib Hamid, I would imagine.
You know what? I actually think he'll be very vulnerable in Australia.
Yeah, he might well be, but they'll have to go with it now. The way he's playing and scored.
Crawley is the guy for Australia, I'm pretty sure. Hamid, in my opinion, is not. The way I'm seeing Hamid's batting, I think he'll be found out in Australia.
But they haven't opened with Crawley, so I assume they don't see him as the opener.
I appreciate that, but I'm just saying to you that I don't think Hamid's going to be the answer for Australia. I don't know. My feelings.
Yeah. Well, but I think he'll be given. I think they'll give him a go.
Well, of course, he's now going to be in the series until the finish. That's for sure.
Yeah, but if he fails in every innings after this one, then they'll have a look at it. But I'd be surprised if there's much. Yeah, I think if Milan does okay, then that'll cement the top 4 or 5. The top, Root said at 4. There's a long way to go in this series. A long way to go.
Of course.
The Oval will play well. It's usually beautiful to play at the Oval. Excuse me, as a batter. And that's the one.
Graham Gooch's home ground. Where was that again?
Gooch played for Essex, so he'd have played at Chelmsford. Alex Stewart would have played at the Oval. He was a Surrey boy. Graham Thorpe, Oval. Tends to produce good batsmen. Mark Butcher was a Surrey boy.
Ramprakash.
Well, Ramprakash, was Middlesex for 10 years and Oval for 11 years. He swapped counties. But he got runs wherever he played, Ramprakash. He was quality player.
He was an amazing player. He was a great player.
Might do it for England. Just couldn't average 30 and kept getting 30. He's one of those players whose average was what he scored. And same with Graham Hick, really. Great talent, great player, Graham Hick. Lovely to watch.
Yeah, but didn't convert to England, did he?
No, but he averaged. I suppose he averaged in the mid-30s. I'd have to check, but I think we'd snap a hand off for a batsman who could average 35 now, wouldn't we? England, the way we're batting.
Yeah.
Cash or Hick now, you'd be pleased, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So the person that's on air talking with Mark Butcher, is that Nick Knight?
Yes, Nick Knight.
Yeah, the batting.
Played 100 one-day internationals for England, I think, Nick Knight, but couldn't, and a handful of tests, but never quite got it going in tests, but was a good one-day player. Mark Butcher was a good cricketer. I was a big fan of Mark Butcher. I thought he played.
Mark Butcher has an Indian derivation?
He's no West Indian. His father was Alan Butcher, who played for England, one test for England, but I think he comes from. Oh, someone will pull me up. Munch, you'll probably be on it already. I think he might have been Guyanese or someone like it's West Indian, Caribbean. I'm sure his dad played one test for England. It was Alan Butcher. I'm sure it was Alan Butcher, but again.
But he's Guyanese, but I think he's got an Indian component to his Guyanese because there's a lot of West Indian Indians as well.
Yeah, but he's certainly from that side. He's not from Delhi or Kolkata, as far as I'm aware.
Munchie says Wales.
Wales. Okay, I think he means that Alan Butcher, I think, played for Glamorgan. I think he might have been Glamorgan, but heritage-wise, I don't think he was Welsh.
The Glamorgan is in Wales?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Glamorgan played their home games at Cardiff, in Cardiff. They're
right,
Welsh
of course.
Glamorgan is one of the counties, or they call them counties in Wales. They've got Carmarthenshire and Glamorgan, and they are, what do I know? Talking nonsense. Yeah.
All right, so
have we got many questions?
I can't believe how much irony there is. In India have got 78, which is pretty awful. 5 catches behind, in fact, 7 caught in the slips. A couple of LBWs. It's been pretty ordinary. But what amazes me more is the none for 120. After England were all out for 120, now they're none for 120. From the last, in fact, I wonder how often that's been the case where a team has scored such a low score and then the next game not lost a wicket and the team gets the. I bet you that'll be an interesting stat to see.
I saw one stat today that Josh Butler only became the second player in Test cricket to catch the first 5 batsmen out. The other one being Brad Hadding. Back about 20 years ago, maybe. So that was
right.
Interesting stat. Did you see the? I'm sure you both. I know you're both watching it. This guy did an interesting analysis on the lengths you bowl at Headingley compared to the other grounds in the UK. You have to pitch it much fuller, which was a very interesting stat. And England bowled it pretty much there today, so they knew where they needed to bowl it. Which normally is, I think, why they played Overton. We talked about this yesterday. Do you remember we were talking about it yesterday?
Yeah.
I think that's why they picked Overton against Mahmood. I think because of his length that he bowls it and the height, so he can get it fuller but still get the bounce.
Now look at this comment here.
Well, it's going to be rubbish if Garib's coming out.
No, hang on. Before
he always talks nonsense.
No, but hang on. There's some method in this madness. The reality is, Pujara and Kohli have failed again.
And Rahane.
Rahane's not as badly. And
well, yeah, okay, Norman. 18, it wasn't. I think.
Yeah, but when the team scores 78, you get 18, and you've supported Rowett the way they did. That wasn't exactly. That was heading for a reasonable recovery. I thought they may have etched out 200 plus, but it didn't end up that way.
Yeah. The reality is that 3, 4, and 5 for India have not just struggled this series; they struggled in the winter as well. Yes. And that Kohli is averaging in the 20s for the last 2 years in Test cricket. And I don't think heads need to roll. Well, I wouldn't be obviously Kohli's safe, but I think they need to have a look at it. And they've got some good young players coming through. I think Vihari's unlucky not to had more of a go. I can't read what Munchie said. I'm so sorry. I'm looking on my mobile.
the hill comes into play. Anderson bowling up the hill, fires the ball into the slope, giving a kick up as opposed to downhill. It is interesting. There's no doubt he knows his grounds, doesn't he?
Well, he should do. He's been playing for 20 plus years. He's played he should know the various ends he wants to bowl, and you think that. But Baran, what do you think? I think Pujara's under a lot of pressure. I think they probably won't play the next test if he fails again. I think I don't like that.
Even if he scores, let's say, I think he should be rested and someone else given a chance. For me, if you ask me personally, I think his days are numbered, and he should realize that see, big players in the Indian team like Sehwag, Sachin, even in their end, they were not able to score, and they realized. So there is something, and even with Kohli, I feel it's not just he's out of form, but I see that there is a technical failure in him which he needs to correct it out. It's not just that he's out of form.
He keeps driving hard the ball in England. He knows that's not the way to go, because last time they were here, he didn't do that. He waited for it. So it must be a form thing for him. He feels that he needs to go hard at it to try and tackles of poor form, whereas he needs to go the opposite way. He needs to just wait for it to arrive a little bit. Watch the way Root Williamson do it, and because he's good enough, he can do it. I mean, he's one of the best players who ever played. It's just that he's out of form, and it plays in your mind. And I think he's going hard at it because he feels that's the way to get back in form. Hit the ball hard to the boundary. You feel the ball hitting the bat, don't you? And you feel as though you're getting back in form. I think he's got to work it out, and he's good enough. You don't have the record Kohli has without being good enough to work it out.
See, because the problem with 3-4-5 is, if you take a notice, that at least in last so many test matches or innings that I remember, never I have seen where Pant has come out to bat and he's not under pressure that either immediately wickets or fall or the score is bad. Like, I can't even remember last time Pant came out to bat, and like he came out to bat as a number 6 should come out to bat, where he's free to score runs and does not have to look at the scoreboard pressure. It's like I can't. It's terrible.
He's got to
the fact that he dances down the wicket on the second delivery almost every time he bats now is a bit unnerving. Every time he bats, he dances down the wicket within 2 balls. And he can't keep doing that. That's not good batting under any circumstances. There's something rather wrong with that.
Yeah, at some stage, he will batter a 70 or 50 balls. He will do it. But you've got to look over the whole series, the whole of his batting, the whole scores, and say you can't. You've just got. He's got such a good eye, but he can't. Last test, wasn't it, Norman? Second ball to Anderson, he ran down and sliced it over the top of backward point, didn't he? I think. And it's just, you can't. I hate to watch. I love Test cricket. I love to watch good Test cricket, and save that for the 2020s, and that's great, and everyone wants to see that, but not. You can't. It's I don't want to say disrespecting the game. He's better than that, and he has to be better than that. Otherwise,
well, he is better than that.
Yeah,
we know he's better than that.
So yeah,
okay, go back to the Indian batting lineup. Look, Rohit Sharma again. Even though he only got 18, got actual poor shot, yes, but he was fantastic. The way he handled the difficult bowling for the entire first almost 3 sessions, or 3 hours of play, 4 hours almost, was quite commendable, honestly.
Yeah. There was no let up though, Norman, was there? The pressure was not lifted by all 4 bowlers. Came in as 4 seamers, and none of them let the pressure go. Every over that was player miss because the length, and they were moving it. It wasn't prodigiously doing a lot. I think he did more in the other 2 tests, but it was relentlessly on them, and it's hard. Mentally, it must have been really, really hard for him. Batted really well to survive it, because he must have played and missed. I haven't seen the stats, but there's a lot of playing and missing, wasn't there? So
But okay, the other thing about it was, after having such a euphoric win at Lords, let's say it was, India were down mentally, a little bit lax today as well. And I'm not trying to defend them or excuse them, but it's not unusual after a huge win, especially when there's been an 8 or 9 day break, for the
That helped
momentum to
England.
be
You're right,
not
Norman.
there.
You made a very good point. That break helped England without a doubt. If it was a back-to-back, if England go on and win this test easily, I think Oval's next week, isn't it? I think it's back-to-back, and that will help. I think
It's back-to-back.
Yeah, back-to-back. So I've got to tell you, Norman, if I'm invited on next week, you might have me live from the Canary Islands. I'm off on holiday next week, so off to Spain.
So Canary Islands are just south of Spain.
It's Lanzarote. It's off the west coast, sort of Portugal and off the coast there. So you might see a bit of sunshine. It depends if I get Wi-Fi, of course, where I'm going. I need the Wi-Fi.
Is Chris going as well with you? Or?
You're joking. He's 30 years old. I don't take him on holiday with me. Got to see enough of him at home. I don't want to see him in his swimmies, in his little skin-tight Speedos, do I? Oh, that pale, pasty white body. It's awful. No, thank you.
So what airline do you go?
I'm flying EasyJet out there. You don't get EasyJet, I don't think, in Oz, do you? You don't have EasyJet? So,
I flew on EasyJet from London to Amsterdam 2 years ago in the middle of my cricket series, and it was hilarious. We had a ball. Let me just tell you a little story about today. I mean, I've talked about Bruce Hawkins earlier, and a guy called Craig Hawkins and a guy called John Dunn. They're some of the biggest memorabilia collectors in Australia. They're my personal friends. But I had an incident today. I'm going to be honest. I'll tell you what happened. I'm an SCG member, as Chris and that is an MCC member. I made a comment on Facebook.
Excuse me.
Because we've had a number of games cancelled at the SCG, rugby, all sorts of events have been cancelled in Sydney because of COVID. We've gone through a very bad trot lately, and we've closed everything down. Rugby league's not being played here.
Curfew, curfew, isn't
it? Yeah, curfew as well. So it's a bit of a disaster. Now, I made a comment on Facebook. The SCG had a post, and they had the post about the game cancelled, Wallabies versus Springboks. And I made a comment on my Facebook. I said, is membership worth it? Now, I said that as a form of frustration, not against the SCG Trust, but more so just the situation. You're paying thousands for a membership and you're not seeing one single game. It's rather nonsensical to be paying. But it doesn't mean I don't want to be a member. So I made that sort of rather frustrated comment. Anyway, I got a fair bit of commentary back about the whole thing, and I was a bit shocked that I was saying something bad about the SCG. Let me make this clear to my viewers, especially those in Australia and the world. The SCG and the SCG Trust are a fantastic group, as are the Marylebone Cricket Club, as are the Hong Kong Cricket Club, or wherever you might work. I adore being a member of the SCG. I go on tours all over the world with them. I represent them. I wear their clothing, I wear their hats, I wear their jackets with pride, as you do the MCC. When I make a comment like that about is membership warranted, it's more about the frustration not getting anything from my membership. Not that it's anyone's fault, but it was made out of frustration. So I apologise.
It was slightly tongue-in-cheek, wasn't it? I can tell, but it was slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, and I apologise if people had took offence to it, especially those that are in the trust itself. And I have to talk publicly about it. I regret it, but I didn't mean any harm by it. I deleted the post. There's no point. It just goes to show that I'm having an impact because I wrote that, and a lot of people saw it. So I have nothing against the SCG. I love the institution. I've been a member for years. I go to all their events. I'm the first one to buy the clothing, first one to talk about it. You see my posts. I'm constantly showing my games there. Played against Chris with them, so I enjoy it greatly. So. I won't mention people involved, but there were people there that made a comment in an email to me, and I regret it. But I don't believe it's something that
I've got to say, Norm, it takes a big man to make an apology on a public platform, and I'm sure that they will appreciate your apology, and I'm sure that you just move on, don't you? Because it takes a big man to apologise.
I spoke to the head of media, and he's a great mate of mine. His dad was a very famous journalist. We're great mates. He said, "No worries, Norman. We know exactly that you didn't mean it. No problems at all." And he might even come on the show. He might even connect with us, our Indian audience, to give us some good, not so much deals, but go to the SCG, have access there, and it's ended up being a very positive discussion. And look, I regret it. I didn't mean it, at all. But it's amazing how one flippant sentence of 8 words can make it sound so bad. But I mean, what do you think, both of you, Baram and Reg? Imagine, Baram, you remember the Filipino something club, right? You go every year and you spend thousands, and then COVID makes you not go for an entire year, where you don't get any access to anything, but you're still going to bill for a couple of $1,000s. Now, I'm not against them doing that, but you do feel a little bit, oh, gee, am I going to get my value here? And that's the question I'm saying. And they have emailed me today as well, not only me, but everybody, that there's a 30% discount on offer for membership, which, I appreciate. What the South Sydney Rabbitohs have done, the football club, because no one's going to rugby league.
Bunnies, Norman.
The Rabbitohs. They have also got problems because no one's able to go to the games because the games have been played interstate, home games, which is terrible. And we're doing well. We're coming third and everything's going well. They'll make the finals. In fact, this will be the first time that a rugby league grand final is being played outside of Sydney ever. In 113 years of history, it's never moved from Sydney. So it's a bit of a shock. Anyway, Bram, the point is that the Souths are giving a gesture. Souths are giving a gesture to their members. They've given them like some, alcohol, some wine, beers, whatever, as a gesture. I think that's nice. And I would think that clubs need to do that more often. They need to give you a bit of a token for paying a fee when there's nothing really happening.
As far as I'm aware, Norman, I'll be very brief.
How are you, David?
I'm fine. I'm surprised you haven't got Sunil Gavaskar on this. Was he not predicting a 4-0 defeat?
David, have you come on to gloat?
I think he has. David, explain to me how England were all out for 120 last Test match, and today they happen to have just finished on none for 120. How could that happen?
Well, when you bowl somebody out for 79, you're a bit of an advantage, and it's a bit of a free hit. And I'd have to say, the way that India bowled was just not the way they bowled at Lords. The second ball of the innings, that Hammy's a young kid who's nervous or whatever. So Sharma bowled something that nearly didn't land on the pitch, just a wide long off, which he smashed for 4. So Headingley is actually sometimes quite a difficult place to bowl if you haven't done a lot of bowling on it. The slope, the wicket is such that, and Cody's saying there wasn't a lot of grass. There's never a lot of grass on the Headingley wicket. What makes it seem is, as Reg will know, is what's up above, and if it's a little bit tacky, and it's as equally like to seam as it is to spin sometimes for a bit when the moisture's there. So I think Root was quite right. It was actually quite a good toss to lose. But some of the shots, I'm afraid, some of the Indian batsmen are so hard at the ball that, all it has to do is just do a little bit, and they're going to be not on.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
It's just a bad day. They've had a bad day at the office. They won't win this Test match. Their task now is to make it, drag it out, and for their batsmen to get some time at the crease, because it's not going to rain. But going into the next test, it's a bit like a toss of a coin. They're mutually exclusive, and the previous toss doesn't affect the next toss. So if you play the next Test match and you win the first session of the first day, then the previous Test match is a distant memory. But they had a long break off, and this is a problem. If they don't have any games between the Test matches, the rhythm just disappears.
Yes, in the old days, Kohli could have gone and played against the county or somewhere else and got a little bit of time in the middle and maybe discovered a little bit of form, but he's got no cricket. So he's got nowhere to go.
I think Bayram will know that the last time he played a non-red ball, sort of what I'd say is a first-class fixture that isn't a Test match. I think that's years ago, Bayram, isn't it? He just goes from Test match to Test match.
There was stat that this was Kohli's 50 innings without a century. So we are looking at a guy who like for Kohli, he was a guy who, like, there was 1 century in every 5 or 6 innings. So
Yeah.
from 1 century every 5 or 6 innings, we are going at 50 innings without a century. And
that's white ball cricket as well, is it? I can't be just
no, this is only test. This is only test. Only red ball. 50 innings without a century, and it's not been that there have been some very good non-hundreds also. Means high 70, 80 is very, very few. So it's not going well for Kohli.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
Let's not forget. I want to commend the England bowling. James Anderson was phenomenal. His bowling was. He knew exactly where to pitch it.
Yeah, no, it's vastly experienced, and I would have to say to the much maligned Pujara, that was actually the perfect ball.
That's a great nut.
He tried to play it as late as possible, but KJ Rao, Kohli, they just smashed at balls that they really didn't need to do that. So they know that Anderson is not going to suddenly bowl 20 overs off the reel. So they had to have a plan of how they're going to get through the 6 overs. They'll know that he will always be on the money. The patience that Rao and that I think the did really well. Yeah, the England bowlers, all job. Somebody and it enough. They couldn't stop makers and then break out to the strength. So they all Reg was right about good turn. So
this is not a good time for your Wi-Fi to play out when you say Reg was right, David. I've got to say, your Wi-Fi is a bit playing up.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear. David, just a point. I want to commend Rohit Sharma's batting today. Other than his dismissal, he batted pretty well to last as long as he did under very trying conditions.
I think David's frozen up, Norman.
David, try and reconnect because we're losing you. You there, David? Yeah, we lost him.
I'd love to know what I was right about, Norman, because I've been married for 30 years, and so I'm not used to being right very often.
He'll come back.
Yeah, Norman, I need to go. I'm ever so sorry. I don't want to let you down, but I'm on cooking duties tonight.
I know you've been fantastic. Thank you.
New age man, and it's 7 o'clock here now, so my wife will be hitting me with a frying pan if I don't.
Well, hang on. Say goodbye to David first. David's still here.
I will.
Well, he's back on, but he's still not connecting very well.
Yeah, he's rough.
David, you back? No, he's frozen.
Sir David.
Guys, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I won't be able to make the pre-show, I'm afraid, Norman. I'm out and about. I do apologise.
Right.
But take care. Take care, everyone.
You'll have a good sleep for sure.
I will. And David will have to tell me what I was right about. Take care, guys. Okay. Take care.
All right, Rich. David, your internet's not great, David. You there?
In the morning.
Reconnect, David. Keep trying. Your internet's
just trying to. So I've read now.
You're breaking in and out, David. Both Baram and I are online, but we can't hear you. You got the same problem, Baram? You got David's a bit.
Yeah, it's his video is stuck and no noise is coming.
Let me just have a last go.
Okay. Oh, Baram, I don't know. I'm disappointed with what's happened today. India have done this before where they've collapsed quite heavily, in particular in Australia, but they came back. Is it I mean, Coley lost the toss. Sorry, won the toss, and as we said before, he's got a 10-2 ratio of tosses. Do you think that's not the problem? That's not where the problem is. Toss is not the issue. India should have batted first, and they got a very difficult early 2 sessions, and they didn't survive. Had the openers survived and got through that, it may have been a different story.
No, for me, Norman, see, I was like when I spoke to you, I knew that the first overs were critical and there would have been some wickets. That was not surprising. Like India being 2 or 3 down, I was expecting that. Honestly, I would expect like maybe one opener would fall and then Pujara and Kohli will definitely also fall. But I thought that someone would, maybe Rane would stabilize and then Pant or Jadeja, someone would stabilize and at least get the score to something 200 plus, some kind of a decent. But faltering at just less than 80 was not good. I mean, that's something drastically wrong in the mindset or the concept or the technique of the batsman or where they're going with it. And then to see that like India's strength has been has been the bowling and not able to take a wicket in the whole session and plus some 5-6 overs that was more shocking to me.
I would agree. David, can you hear us?
Yeah, no. You just can't hear me.
We can hear you now.
I'll just be brief, just in case I'm off. Sometimes you play the opposition way around. It didn't have to get you, so it was a decision for them. So, but I'm sure I dressed him in the morning, right? Day at the office. I was back in the game. Be a long haul. Norman, can you hear me or not?
I can hear you now, but we did lose you there for a second. Just keep talking.
Yeah. So I don't think they were, but I think we've just have a set you pressure to take every single delivery, and sometimes that pressure can make you not bowl as accurate as you wanted to. Go themselves down and come again. Actually, no point to say they all need find in the remember Adelaide to that. So Norman, I think too well. So I think that I'll come in then I'll speak. Okay.
Yeah, but David Barama and I are having some problems with your. We lost him again. Yeah, it's difficult. He's obviously got. I'm hearing like a computer sound. Can you hear a computer sound?
Yeah,
like
very robotic kind of, that too, choppy voice. A robotic choppy voice.
Yeah. He's not in a good internet area. He's had problems before. That's all right.
Okay. So David is in England, right? Or he's in Australia?
No, he's in England. He's in northern England. Whereas I'm not sure exactly the county, but he's pretty close to I think northern England or central northern England, and Munchie and Reg and Chris Vernon are down in the southeast, very close to the even close to Dover, a bit in from there in Kent. So they're on different ends of England actually, which is intriguing.
So do you see an innings defeat here? Innings defeat won't have. Who knows? You see an innings defeat here, Norman?
Look, the only thing I can say is that the moment looks terrible. 78 all out and 120 for no wickets. If England go on with this and score 400, then it will be an innings. It'll be an innings defeat for sure. But look, you just don't know. England, despite having had a great start, could be all out for 250. Now, that's still a great score comparatively. They'll have a huge lead and they'll still win the match. But, you know, if the pitch continues to flatten out and India get a chance to bat, they could recover and make at least an admirable game of it where England have to bat a second time. But at this stage, you'd have to think that if they get anywhere over 300 plus with a none for 120 lead, then we're looking at a situation where they're going to be in trouble. But look, India will have to write this test off. It doesn't take them out of the series at all. I'm just concerned about the batting. Do we start making changes for India? That's the question. We talked about it 2 tests ago. They played well. They won the match. We said no change, which was the right decision. They just picked the wrong. They probably shouldn't have batted first. They should have taken. They should have put England in the bat. And they would have got it. If England batted first and India bowled half decent, England would have lost 3 or 4 wickets for sure.
Yeah, but that's hindsight, Norman. Like,
I know. I know.
Yeah, if I would not blame Kohli or the Indian team on that. That would be hindsight. If winning and toss and batting, or yes, we knew there was moisture and this on the wicket, so that early wicket part was something expected. But moving on that, like I think the first half an hour, after the first half an hour, the sun was out, the pitch was right. I think after that, then the wickets were, I think, Indian batsmen to blame. And even before, like, I believe KL Rahul, as I said, Anderson should be respected. They need to respect one bowler, and I believe they should respect Anderson. And, you know, at least in his first spell of the first day, they should respect and maybe not go for those kind of balls.
I'm just a bit intrigued because I normally get the media conferences sent to me or the links. And at this point, there's no sign that there's been a media conference for ECB, which is a bit of a shock. You'd think they'd be running out there really keen to have their media conference because they've just done very well today. A bit perplexed with that one.
I think it was all the way Munchie coughed in the morning.
I'm just sending a message to.
No, means today's day, like when you say completely one-sided, this is if you want to explain someone the phrase completely one-sided, this if you can show them this today's scorecard and this is what you call completely one-sided. Nowhere did India it means.
But go back to Adelaide. They were all out for 36, and then Joe Burns came and scored a 50 not out, won the game easily. That was equally as bad. That was actually at the end of the test. They won. Joe Burns got 50, looked fantastic, but within 2 tests, he was dropped for good. And India went on. That should draw confidence for India. They were all out for 36 in Adelaide, right? 36, and then straight after it, you know, Burns got 50 not out. Joe Burns, that is. Now we've got a Rory Burns this time has got 50 not out, and they got a low score. It's the early part of it. I find this. I actually predict that India will come back quite hard. Why? Because they've done it before, and only a matter of a couple of series ago. So India must draw some confidence from that. They must be thinking, you know, we can come back from this. Everything's gone wrong today for the Indian batting, which is not acceptable. Okay, not acceptable at all. But you have to give them some credit. They have the ability to bounce back. So India will be fighting next Test match. Don't worry. And actually, Ashwin will be probably brimming, thinking, I need to show India that I was worth having in the Test. Because I've said before, I'm sure Ashwin's not happy sitting on the sidelines. He would be very unhappy.
Yeah, internal, yes. But then, given the situation, see, Norman, I would never go for. If let's say I were to get Ashwin in, it would be in place of Jadeja. Makes no sense having 2 spinners in. You need 4 fast bowlers. That's for sure. In these wickets, you need, and the conditions, you need 4 fast bowlers. That's for sure. But definitely Ashwin gets a place in, and every time you can't say that your batting is weak and your tail is wrong, so you need to add more batsmen. Like today's match, what if you would have played 11 batsmen, and if this is the way or technique in which you're going to play, does it even make sense? Even 11 batsmen won't work. So
Yeah.
you need to somehow back on your batsmen, and you okay, you say 3, 4, 5 are under pressure. They are, but then they need to do that. Like my point coming back to Pant, we are saying okay, we are blaming a Pant on his he should not bat. But then, as I said last, when can you remember that Pant came out to bat as a normal number 6 should come out to bat, or like what a traditional number 6 role for a good batting lineup should be.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. So that means there are seriously problems here.
Yeah, Punt can't keep getting away with poor starts, especially the way I think that Jadeja and Punt should swap positions to start with. That's one thing for sure. I think that they're going to have to find some way of getting batters up above them that don't fail as frequently as they do. Yeah, I think Pujara will probably have this could well be his last Test series. I
think this should be his last Test match. Even if second innings he scores a big 200, I think to get back to consistency, he needs to go back. And I know he's like 33, 34 right now, but you can't have that where you play 10 innings and very bad scores, and one innings you score well. That's really not the need of the hour with the current situation.
I think SK Rokhan is said it's shameful that India batting performance is very unpredictable and unstable. Do you agree with this? Well, I agree with it. I think it's starting to look really, really shaky when you have Pujara, Kohli, Rahane all failing. KL Rahul you can't knock today because he batted so well so far. But Rohit Sharma, I'm telling you, despite his bad shot, impressed me no end that he could survive that long. He really has come of age as an opening batter. They were
Correct.
very, very difficult conditions to be 5 down as an opener, still there, and looking very solid, to be honest with you. He didn't look really, he missed a few, yeah, but he looked solid. And
No, like previous 100 balls, what he played, I did not see that him playing any wrong shot or getting beaten. So he played explosively well. Coming back to KL Rahul, he has got a very good opportunity and to shine, and he needs to be consistent also. We can't have that, okay, 2 matches and then again it's a long.
Well, I mean, he's only had 1 duck. I mean, he has batted well for 2 sessions.
Yeah. So, but today's thing was Norman, the way he, like I said, Anderson, like a guy with the only fast bowler with more than 600 wickets. He demanded respect. So I felt the third ball of the day, and you're going for a drive which you judge how much is the ball swinging or what's the situation. I found it like being overconfident or too much pushing the boundary too much.
But there's no doubt they've come off a very large high from the Lord's Test match. It was a big crescendo. It was a great victory. India looked like they won the series the way they were playing, and they've come down mentally very strongly from that. I actually predict they're going to play a lot better tomorrow. I reckon they'll bowl better as well, and they'll come back. Maybe they won't win the match, but they'll come back because today was a real mental shock for them. I think they really were. They were lax. They weren't at their best. They were a bit lazy, or they were overconfident, whatever the term may be to explain it. They played in a certain manner which showed they weren't concentrating as they did in this first and second test. There wasn't the same strength. They came into the series hurting from the World Test Championship, and they played the first 2 tests magnificently. And I think that today they could have well afforded. Really, you know what? They probably should have. If I'm being honest with you, they probably should have sent England in the bat and challenged England to do well and bowl well and use the early stages, because as we can see now, it's a batting paradise. And if England had batted, if India had batted well, they would have been 3 or 4 down for 250 by the end of the day and looked really good. But they didn't get through the first 2 sessions. Maybe Siraj and Bumrah should have had a good old go at the England batsmen early, especially because Hamid was back to an opener and Malan was back from a break. You'd have to think they had the best chance to get them out. Now, Milan's got a perfect scenario to come in the first drop. He's a good batter, and he's got a perfect scenario for him to cement his test position with a big score after these openers have done well. He's in a great position to do really, really well, and good on him because he is a good player. So, yeah, I don't like Hamid. Something about not too much. I don't like him. He still looks very awkward. He nicked the ball 3 slips to get his 50. You were kind of dropped. It wasn't superlatives only. Rory Burns looked fantastic.
Yeah, correct.
We haven't got many.
Do you felt like India, like they were showing a lot of comparisons, like India missed on the bowling line that the English bowlers were doing, or do the pitch genuinely dried out and Indian batsmen played?
Yeah, I think it's the mental state of the play. England came out with a great deal of experience with James Anderson. He led the charge. Robinson, Overton, Curran all picked up on what Anderson started with 3 wickets, right? He broke the back of India's batting. And then, of course, mentally, the Indian bowlers are going out there to bowl. England batsmen are primed and ready to go. It's a mixture of a disaster, really, in terms of the bowling. And they bowled too short. They bowled in an element of desperation. If you know your team's only scored 78 and you're going out to bowl, you feel enormous pressure to perform because you're expected to get the same result with your bowling, and that's very hard to do. And in effect, they bowled too short and too wide.
If England would have been 4 or 5 down by the end of the day, then maybe we would have said that these conditions were like that. But no, but genuinely India played very bad. Like the batting means and it's a good back. Let's hope they come back. And I'm happy that the way England also came back based on the whack that they got. If you see them getting out in less than 2 sessions for 120 runs is a good whack on the back. And let's hope the same like India happened in Australia. 36 all out was a good whack on the back. And so this is like, the naughty kid in school, like he gets a good whack and they come the next day all, improved.
There's no doubt. The Indian bowlers will bowl a lot better tomorrow. You watch. They're going to come out firing. Kohli would have got up them. They would have definitely come back with a different attitude. But they're probably getting in there going, oh, my God, what happened today? They've had a bad day. Okay. And I think David Gravely said it. You've got to move on and start the next day with a lot of fight. And look, I keep going back to Australia. Remember, they were all out for 36. And Joe Burns scored a 50 and they won the match easily. We thought India had gone that stage. Look what happened. They turned it around next match. So in a bizarre way, the Indian mentality was a bit lazy today, a bit expectant, a bit sort of, confident. And in fact, this has woken them up. It might bring them back even harder next match. We just don't know, or next day. I'm not overly worried about the situation, to be honest. I'm not overly worried. I think that what if Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane score well in the second innings? We won't be talking about the first innings.
I won't be worried if, like, tomorrow also, let's say England ends up scoring 400 plus, like they end the day with being 400 plus. They play the third day and maybe even 500, but then India needs to score a big 500 or 600 in the second innings, given how the pitch or how England has batted right now. If that does not happen, then seriously, I believe Pujara, I don't know. They need to make that change. It's too high time, and I don't know how much longer this baggage they need to carry. And
it's amazing. Don't forget when when Rahul Dravid and Vivius Laxman came out after being asked to follow on, they were horrendously behind. They did a magnificent job. There's fight in India. Don't worry. I'm not overly. I don't think this is the end of India. They're going to fight. They had a bad day today.
Last test match, it was also Rane and Pujara who came together. So who knows? So let's see how this match pans out.
If this had been the last day and India collapsed in their third innings and England won easily, then we would have a finish to a bad result. This has started this way, so there's still time in the match to somewhat redeem themselves. Maybe not win, but redeem themselves. So yeah, I think I'm pretty confident that they're going to come back tomorrow. I really am. I think the Kohli's going to be. They're going to have a good old chat with the players. They will come out with a different attitude tomorrow. And look, Bumrah bowled what 10 odd overs now. He had about 10 runs hit off him. He didn't exactly bowl badly.
Shami also initially bowled where he was, I would say, a little unlucky not to get the wicket. But the way Shami started the after tea session, if you see he was bowling some beautiful pitch out deliveries. It was just unlucky. He bowled a couple of really good balls to both Hamid, and I would say it was slightly unlucky that it did not catch the nick.
Because you look at the England bowls, I mean, Overton didn't bowl express. Robertson didn't bowl express, nor did Anderson. They bowled mostly in the 130s. So that makes me think that maybe Shardul Thakur should have played today.
I won't say that, Norman. I would say there was a big technique fault from the Indian batsmen. They were going for the ball, whereas both the English openers they were waiting for it. There was a big difference. If you see I've said the edges that did not. In case of England, they were all like the batsmen were waiting, and if the Indian batsmen would have done it, I think India would have definitely been at maybe 3 or 4 wickets down, because
it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Yeah, there was a big difference in the approach of the Indian batsmen and the English openers.
No, it's a fair point. Yeah, it's again, Munchie said it, which agree with what I was saying. It's not the pace, it's the line and length that's important. And India have not bowled well. They've bowled quite short and quite wide. Hence, a lot of cut shots have been played. They should if they don't. Yeah, I don't think we can say India will lose a series at this stage. It's too early. It's an interesting point. There is an element of that going on. There's an element of that going on. They always excuse their losses away.
Well, at least the only solace I would say right now, India is the only side. I would say India is literally the only side who people expect that going and out and in outside conditions they will win. In India, they will definitely win the series. Maybe lose a match here and two, and get good pitch curators. So that's really not an issue. But coming to the outside, at least India is the only team right now which people say, at least in the big test playing nations, that this is someone who can challenge teams like England, Australia, even New Zealand, and their home ground.
I love the way that people talk on the side here, and they have a chat and they get to know each other. They say, "Oh, how do you know about another person by a certain name called Ingle?" And it's hilarious. This becomes a real little world. You know what I'm talking about. You get to you and Munchie became quite close, didn't you? Do I know how to promote a YouTube? Yeah, I do.
Munchie, Naresh.
Yeah. I think the Indian team get overconfident. That's true. I find that Indian team's performance inconsistent at times. There is a need to bolster the batting order. Look, it's a very good set of points. The reality is they did become overconfident. They were they took it easy a little bit. You could sense by the way they batted, they weren't really at their best. But Rohit Sharma, I'm still going to say, despite the shot, he got frustrated. He was there for almost 4 hours batting. He played a bad pull shot, yes. But he'd also batted for a long time, surviving a very difficult period. Imagine if KL Rahul had batted with him. They could have inked out 100 total over a period of 3 hours, very slow, and survived the good bowling and then cashed in towards the end of the day. And that's the pity, that if someone had gone with Rohit Sharma, one of the upper order batsmen had gone with him, like Rahane tried to do, they could have easily have got 200 plus once the wicket was softened up. Because the last 120 runs in England score, they scored easily. So India could also have been, none for 100 if they survived, and then they could have been 250. So I'm not worried. I think that England, if they batted first, they would have had difficulty as well. They would have lost several wickets, I think, honestly. I mean, Siraj and those bowls would look really good on those conditions, but the conditions dried up. And, the way that Ben Stokes played there a couple of years ago, England fight on this ground. There's a real fighter's attitude when they come to this ground, I reckon. And India had never played there before. Let's not forget, the Indian players, I know you said earlier that it doesn't matter, but it does. they would have felt not right. They would have felt not comfortable out there, and it came out in their play. It's a mental game, as we know. It really
Well,
is.
I hope this match becomes the opposite way for India and some miracle happens, like the one happened with Stokes.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a day where they can learn a lot from it and have a lot of mental strength. I don't think they're going to fall apart. Kohli will be particularly upset and will say, right, guys, we're going to bowl better the next day. We're going to come back and fight in our second innings. And I think that's very important. Really, I think it is.
No, as overall team, I agree, Norman. I completely agree. India will come and will fight back. That's for written. But on this coming back to the 3, 4, 5, it's like it's becoming too much. It's becoming to a point that means if they want to continue, we as fans would want to see one good innings, and it's like all three of them are failing. All three of them are failing. Continuously. It's not that okay, maybe Rane is scoring, then Pujara is scoring, then Kohli is scoring. If that's happening, that's fine. But all three at the same time.
No, that's a great point. It's a great point. It's a very good point.
So that's where I'm saying the point on Pant, the pressures. See, even if the openers do well, these people go out and Pant comes in where it's at a precarious situation. So I believe Pant's that situations will happen once in 3 matches, not or once in 3 or 4 innings, not in every inning. Every inning Pant comes out, it's like there is scoreboard pressure, and it's like he should not bat the way he should be batting.
I agree.
And then we blame that no Pant should be. This is not the way. This is how Test cricket is played. But
yeah,
people are not seeing that. Where is this coming from? This is coming from 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, you're right. That's where they need to stand up and show their worth. You're right. I totally agree. Yeah, they're destroyed. It's true. They're not destroyed. They'd be very upset with it. They wouldn't be happy with it, but they'll come back. It's only going to improve after what we saw in Adelaide. I'm not worried at all. I think India got very strong capability coming back. Okay, what else we got here? It can't be Pant can't be the saviour always. That's true. We expect him to be. Yeah, it's very. Abhishek Sharma agrees with you. So it is a very good point. The fact is, they're certainly failing as a cluster, aren't they? There's some good points there. I think that India maybe have taken it a bit easy during this break, and I guess they looked mentally not there today. They looked a bit too casual, and they were playing shots that they now, with this overconfidence, having won the last test and coming from a very big high, they played again. They forgot they have to respect the next innings, and they probably thought that Wood's not there, Broad's not there. Lesser bowlers are in. They're going to have a field day. Well, they didn't.
They had only one bowler to give respect, was Henderson. If they would have respected him, I think this would not have been the case. Okay, Pujara, I would say, got a very good ball, and when he came in, but it all started with that one rash shot from KL Rahul. I mean, that was not a ball or to get out on. And given the situation, it's the 3rd ball or 4th ball of the match, I forgot. And going for the drive.
Is this true? Was there some ball tampering that went on until they changed the ball? Is that right?
Yeah, there was a change by the umpires, but I don't know whether how sinister that was or what.
Yeah. As India picked the ball they wanted to play with, how is that cheating? That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah, the World Test Championship made India change. They've changed. They've done well. Today will make India change again. I like the way that Kohli continues to learn as a team. I really like that. I don't think they're going to be radical changes, even though it's not looking good at the moment. I don't think they're going to be radical changes. I think the only change that's warranted at this stage is probably Pujara. They need to get someone at 3 that's more in form. They definitely need someone at 3 that's more form. Who that will be interesting. Is it Sky? Is it Vihari? or Agarwal. Agarwal was 12th man today, which tells me he was thought of in the team. Yeah, it is true. There was nothing wrong with the ball. I want some underrated thrillers. Are you watching movies? Or what are you talking about? If India loses this match, there'll be changes that you expect. What a change to expect. Look, I think we just mentioned, I think that Pujara, if he fails again in the second innings, they may have to give him a break. I think. Was the 21 days holiday a good idea? Probably not. We don't really know. These guys are under enormous pressure all year. Sometimes they need to be just given a break. I kind of see that being the case. Or it always underestimates the opponent. Guess this is why they haven't won an IC tournament in 8 years. Yeah, they get a bit too confident when they reach finals. It's true. Now, Rich K is saying leave Pujara. I knew as soon as I mentioned one player I'd be against, people would say not to drop him. It's not a matter of dropping him, but they do need to consider a change. See what happens.
Yeah, see, because if they start with Pujara, then the next tax would be definitely on Rane, and then Kohli also needs to get his act in form. So one way that would be a good signal to the team also, like, and it's not fair to the other players also, Norman. Like, let me put it that way also.
Yeah, that's true. Put undue pressure.
Yeah.
You mean the pressure on other players in the team?
No, not the other. I'm saying the people who are sitting out. Means if you're giving so many chances, yeah, it's really frustrating to the other players. And other players we accept the moment they come in to perform in the first toss immediately. Means you see the other way around. You expect them to perform immediately, and you're giving chances on chances and chances. It's that way becoming too much.
I find this amusing when you've got ducks and penguins, a large group of people, which this ground's notorious for. They love getting dressed up. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a lot of fun. I never forget one day they had a ball that went on the field, and every single animal that was dressed up, all the people dressed with an animal, came running to the boundary. It was the funniest sight I've ever seen. Okay. Amrit Singh has joined us. The problem with dropping any of them is that Kohli is the worst form of the three. There will be a lot of people asking why his place is not in question. It's true. It is true. If you drop Pujara, they're going to say, why not Kohli? Kohli's, if your stats correct, they're about 25 innings without was it 25 innings without
50 innings. Okay, someone had corrected on the chat that it's all forms without a century. 50 innings.
That's a lot. That's a lot for anyone. But then again, he's such an incredible performance before that he's more than made up for it. And we know that he's going to, when he comes out of the slump, if given the opportunity, when he comes out of the slump, he's going to be, he'll go through several big scores in a row. You watch.
Yeah, but the when is becoming too long, Norman.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Technically, can a team concede? Even a minor miracle seems to do less for an win here. Yeah, let's not talk about. We know that India are not likely to win this match at this stage, but miracles have happened. Stranger things have happened. England are currently 42 in front. They could collapse them all out for 200 in the morning. We just don't know. It could happen.
And second innings score a good 400 plus, or who knows, even more, and then the whole pressure is back on England.
I don't know whether it's that conclusive. It's too early to say that. Yeah, Sandy is a really big England fan. She loves rubbing it in and telling me every game. I understand.
Like tomorrow also I said, Norman, like till India's third inning batting does not get over. Like even tomorrow, let's say England bats the whole session or gets up to a lead of 400. Still, I believe like India's third innings will play the crucial issue. Maybe they can come back with a big score and draw, or if not, even go for a win. So that can happen. I'm not ruling that out, and India is known to do that. So this second innings is very crucial in that. The only say Pujara and Rane is like in that second innings they come like Lakshman and Dravid, and then yes, I would say they deserve more chance, but it has to be a big inning. It can't be another 30-40 odd and we say that they continue.
The reality is that look, they've got a lot of options. It's not the end of the world for India. They're not lost here. They've had a bad day. Everything went against them with their batting. England, of course, when your opposition scores 78 all out, you're buoyant. You come out King Kong, like King Kong. England are still 1-0 down the series. If they win this, they're 1-all. They haven't shot ahead. They're not thrashing India overall. Let's not get too carried away at all. But they need to do something. They need to add another batsman on their side, maybe, as opposed to taking one away, add one on. Okay. I will promise you guys by tomorrow I'll be shaving. I may shave the side off and have a bit of a moustache and
I don't know why people are after you for shaving. It looks really good. I don't know why they are or what exactly they want to see.
Well, they used to be not being, I guess, that unshaven. I guess that's probably what it is. If India wins this match, it'll be the greatest match ever played in the history of cricket. That's quite a good statement. It probably would be a huge. But look, I think it was a match. I think it was a match I saw a scoreboard where the score was very low in the first innings and the third innings. This is it. If India can come back and score a big third innings of the match, who knows? Who knows? India got to come out hard tomorrow and bowl well. That's what they've got to do. Why do you like my singing, Sonny? She's promoting herself here. You're a very good young singer. You've got a lot of talents. Your show, give us information about your show again. Send it through. Can you read that? Baram, can you read that?
Karthik Raj Singh, understand you are bloody Indian cricket team hater. There is no point in arguing with you. Cheers. Have a good day.
So, no one. I'm saying I don't want people to hate India. I don't want people to hate Pakistan or Afghanistan or whatever. But the reality is we love cricket. That's what we should be talking about, is the game of cricket. Whoever's playing each other is, it's great rivalry between some sides, yes. But let's talk about cricket, guys. India making us look like 25-year-old. Yeah, really, it's true. He looks so fit. Yeah, things can swing either way. That's true. I'm not. It's too early to judge this game, even though it's heavily in England's favour. It's too early to judge. Okay, well, there's some comments being put right out like, yeah, Sunday and Music Harmony, they're both music people, should get together and create something. I agree. Yeah, James Anderson's amazing. I now wonder whether he will play on. I have a feeling he wants to be take the most wickets ever of anyone. I've got a feeling he wants to keep playing, but he's got to get 180 wickets to beat Murali. That's a big effort.
Honestly, is that 165 test matches on this for a fast bowler is already very high. If you see people like Murali and Vaughan, they were like 130 matches something.
Oh no, Shane Warne played a lot of test matches. It was around the 140 mark. Yeah, that's still a lot. But yeah, 165. I think most test bowlers, fast bowlers, last about 110 if they're lucky.
No, if you see Ishan Sharma is 33 and he's already 102 test matches. So if he performs reasonably well, you can see him playing, I would say, 150 matches also. But yeah. I don't know how will that go off into. I was expecting Ishan Sharma would take a wicket today, but unfortunately.
Yeah, look, the longevity of bowlers is obviously getting some good people behind them. Such performance give sleepless nights to die-hard fans like Norman. It does. You're right. In fact, it's now almost 2 hours. We may consider stopping.
Yeah, but Norman, anyway, you are at sleepless nights. You're sleeping in the day.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Virat Kohli's team still has to be given credit for their record. It's it's around 59% wins. He's been the longest. Got to be given credit. He didn't win the toss. He won the toss today, but it didn't suit him.
I think it's good that Kohli keeps losing tosses.
Why likes guy can't be dropped, and they be bigger than the game. It's an interesting point about Kohli that he can't be dropped. He's not bigger than the game. It's a fair point. Kohli is still captaining well, still playing well, reasonably well. Hasn't scored big scores, yes. I don't think you can drop Kohli at this point, but he has to start to consider what he's...
Right now, first I will see the axis on Pujara, next Rane, third Kohli. I would put it that way.
Yeah. And don't forget, India got to the World Test Championship final. 8, 10, 12 teams didn't, right? So what do we... Because if we drop Kohli, and then we drop every other captain from every other team? Because they didn't make it? No. I mean, you've got to remember, and they've just beaten England at Lords. They beat Australia at the Gabba. There's some great records there. They played really well in India. There's some very big wins with Kohli. We've got, or at least Kohli's group. Does that make sense? They beat us in Australia. They beat England at Lords. I mean, they're 1-0 up still. They're ahead. Let's get off Kohli's back, for God's sake. He doesn't deserve it. He succeeded very, very highly. He's better than Kohli is better than Ganguly, better than Dhoni, better than Kapil Dev in terms of records. He has got a better record, a higher percentage. He's captain for longer. We've got to respect that now, guys. We've got to understand how good he is. His son as well, and they did very well. Both of them. It was a great opening partnership. Oh, thank you, cricket. All right, I don't like that comment. All right, that's not nice.
All right. No, I'll take a leave then.
All right, thanks, Bram. I'll finish up. I'll finish. Well, thank you, Bram. See you tomorrow.
Anyway, my conclusion tomorrow I still believe England will. I doubt there will be a collapse. I would say from England side, there would definitely be a lead of 300, maybe 400. But what I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, is that India comes good in the second innings and gives a good lead and puts the pressure back on England.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Catch you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Brown. Thank you. Bye. Yeah, so as we can see, guys, there's a lot of frustration from the Indian supporters about the game, a lot of discussion about getting rid of players. Let's just hold off a little bit. The game's still got some time to play. Let's see how India go in the second innings and how they bowl tomorrow as well. So it's way too early to talk about anything negative. This team, Amarish Singh says, this team seems to go through moments of brain fade followed by absolute mania. Yeah, they've had such a high with Lords, they've had such a low the next day. It's kind of normal. We'll see. We'll see. Can I get Tom Curran live? I'll try you, Sunday. I'll try. Shiv Kumar, I thank you for being a part of it as well. Yeah, it will be. And that's part of the whole thing. He is. His brother's pretty good, but he's not good. Joe Root, when you get permission. Well, that's not going to happen during the series, I'm afraid. Where did Osman Khawaja disappear from the show? He hasn't disappeared. He's still in the mix. He actually is on his own YouTube channel talking about his own performance as well, which is quite interesting. Yeah, Sunday, if you can't find me on Instagram, I'm there. Look. See? At Norm Koch. Not Norman Koch, at Norm Koch. You suddenly go on at Norm Koch. See? Instagram at Norm Koch. Anyone here that's not subscribing to, by the way, you should be subscribing to the channel. Let's have a look. Oh boy. They have today. It's been India's day for sure. Punt needs to work on his shot selections, otherwise his place might be in danger as well. Yeah, he's got to be careful. Good points, music, Owen. There is a second one too. I have it. You're right, Munchie. I've got a Trip of a Lifetime Tours one as well. Another Instagram thing. It's 2 accounts. Why is Usman Khawaja not noticing him? Good question. I don't know. He should be. He really should be. He really, really should be. I reckon he should be. There's no doubt. Yeah, we seem to have. Usman Khawaja would be, I think, a selection the Australian team should consider. Absolutely. I would totally agree with that. Usman Khawaja should be back on the Australian side. It is amazing how Kohli win the toss. They immediately say it's going to be bad when he wins the toss. There's kind of a bit of truth there, isn't there? Certainly is. See you later, Sunday. Thank you, Sunday. Anderson demolishing opponents is a treat to watch, or inspiring while he's pulling off at his age. I agree. Totally. Totally. All right. See you later, Sunday. All right, guys. I might also think about going. I think that we've had a rather quiet night. Yeah, we were let down today. I like Siraj's attitude at the end, even though he thinks, yeah, I like his attitude, great attitude. Kohli needs to send back to India and let run everyone. Or maybe that's the trick. It's like a rehearsal, isn't it? It's like a way that they do things. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's take a break now, guys, and we'll talk to each other tomorrow. There'll be a pre-show on from 9 a.m. England time, which will be 1:30 p.m. Indian time, 6 p.m. Australian time. Okay, and I will make sure that's the case. We'll have the pre-match for the second day, and we'll go into the post-match as we've done today. Don't worry, I'll get that sorted. Oh, Jake O'Hara looked pretty good today. I thought he was struggling, but everyone was. All right. Good job, Norman. See you soon. Thanks, Pema Goldson. We'll see each other very soon. See you tomorrow, guys. I think I'm going to be going as well. So, all right. So, again, my Instagram is at Norm Koch, and my Twitter is also at Norm Koch. I have a YouTube channel, Eyes on Cricket with Norm Koch, which you're watching now. Please subscribe now. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button. Also, go about looking at my LinkedIn and my Facebook pages as well. I talk a lot on there as well. So. Okay. What about Josh English? For who? England, or for who are you talking about? Josh, you mean the Australian keeper? If we're talking about the new guy, he is good quality, for sure. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm going. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the night. So don't forget to hit Norm Koch for Twitter and Instagram. Go to my usual, subscribe, hit the notification button. If you like and share on WhatsApp, share everybody. Please subscribe if you're watching now. See you tomorrow.